FAHEEM from Georgia.
Community of Scientology in Maryland.
Leander Rothman, Baltimore.
Assalamu alaikum. Tahira Muhammad from Florida.
Assalamu alaikum. Fadriel Amin, W.
Assalamu alaikum.
Abdul Hakim.
Slight problem with my phone. I'm going to send you the prompt so you can hit and begin. Okay, I'm going to send them to you right now. I'm having some kind of problem and I don't know what it is.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Khalid Khan, Atlanta, Georgia.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm thinking Bean, State of Ohio.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister Zahira Zarif, Farmville, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Zahira Alamin, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Jennifer Muhammad.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Feel like that.
Muted. The recording has started.
Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah, and after that, all praise is due to Allah. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. At the opening sound testimony without hesitation, reservation, or embarrassment, that there is no object of worship except Allah. And we bear open sound testimony without hesitation, reservation, or embarrassment, that Muhammad, to whom the dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, this is, and I'm honored to share this time with you in a continuing topic, the miraculous nature of the Qur'an. Alhamdulillah, we are at that point where we are addressing the subject, define democracy and shura in the Quran? Are they similar? Explain justice, injustice in the Quran. Alhamdulillah, as always, with the Study Al-Islam segments, fortunately, no one person is expected to address the entirety of the questions, and we have the freedom and obligation to choose, well, which part of it you're going to address. So inshallah, today for myself, my contribution is going to be principally focused on the idea of shura. Just need to understand it, and even with that focus, we will not be able to cover it all in any case. But to get the essence of it is our critical motivation right now. The primary verse, 3:159. I'll begin just to provide a heading for what we're doing. It says, so by the mercy of Allah, it is by His mercy that you are lenient with them. And if you were rude in your speech, and if you are harsh in heart, then they would have disbanded from around and about you. So pardon them and ask forgiveness for them, and consult with them in the matter. And when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him. Alhamdulillah, this verse is speaking of the mercy of Allah and the mercy of Allah on the Prophet, that He is merciful with those with whom He lives and works and leads, and that not only are you to not be harsh and to be lenient, but you are to consult with them in matters of importance, and then make your decision after that consultation. I'm going to use as the basis of what I offer this morning a segment from a Ramadan Imam's session with Imam Muhammad Rahimahullah alayhi that took place in Athens, Georgia in 1995. So you know that the truth has a long shelf life, so I'm sure that none of you have issues in 1995. No, it's like, yeah, the Quran itself is 1,440 plus years old. So, no, the truth is the truth. And the Imam gives a very clear, as usual, a very clear understanding of the concept of shura and what it is that's from God. And I want to just use his commentary as the basis of my comments this morning. So to begin, he says, our responsibility to develop and grow, our responsibility is to develop and grow so that our life occupies all the rooms that God created for that life to live in and occupy. Of course, this is inside of a comment, so we're starting where there's a hidden design, there's a nature of life. There's a plan of Allah. He says to capacity and grow, or rather the room, and to occupy that space fully, to occupy the potential. It says it is ability. It is not an responsibility. It can't be done with just an individual. No one do it. It takes the whole group. It's a group project.
Participants in the conference muted. The recording has started.
Educated on all levels. The protection of this Islamic Republic and the growth and development and the realization of God's plan for this Islamic Republic can only be done by people who are doing as Allah has collectively doing so. It's a team. So abstractly, that is truth without details, is like, yes, you need Quran, you need Sunnah, you need Shura, okay? Now, the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done is like the variability of circumstances that human beings are going to find themselves in over time and geography, etc. It's like how many various circumstances are going to arise in the life of human beings. How many different permutations of things, what the economics as compared to the politics, as compared to the education, as compared to whatever's going on in the life of the people. So they're going to be novel situations that are going to call for novel solutions. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given us explicitly, quote unquote, only one way of going about solving the problems that we are faced with. He obligates all of us to cooperate together in order to solve the unprecedented circumstances that we find ourselves faced with. Cooperate with each other in order to solve your unique and novel problems, and that is only Allah orders to y'all get together and solve the problem. When he obligates us to practice Shura, he obligates us to present in his novel circumstances too complex for you to solve as an individual, and nothing has been explicitly, expressly given to you about that particular situation in the Quran, in the life model example of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Then you get together collectively and have your group mind that you create when you practice Shura, that group mind, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will send the blessing of the answer to that novel situation. I will send it through that group. Now, to the issue is another overlap, or an important overlap people think about, especially when we think about democracy, right? One of the primary things we think about when it comes to the democracy is freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I have an undated quote here that I'm taking from the IMAM in that regard. So the point is, when we do get together in Shura, then there's a way that you're supposed to operate. There's a proper protocol for the conduction of Shura, and one of the proper methodologies for conduction of Shura is allow everyone to speak and express themselves in the unprecedented matter. And there's a lot of detail here in terms of, like, everybody is not guaranteed to be a part of every Shura. If you understand, a Shura, in the best sense, in the correct sense, is the most qualified in the matter of the discussion. And then they have shoot themselves, and then the leader chooses a consultation what seems to be the best decision. All right? This, you can read that in the verse that we began with. And when you have taken your decision, then depend on Allah for the outcome. So on this expression, if an individual has a difference with the local leader or with the national leader, with myself, the Islamic democracy protects reasons or those differences to the attention of the public. No one is to interrupt the service, but afterwards, then the person who has a sincere grievance issue to raise, and they shouldn't be treated as troublemakers. They shouldn't be treated as troublemakers. They should be heard and listened to. If they are proven to be troublemakers after they've expressed themselves, then you call troublemakers. But don't call a person a troublemaker before they've had an opportunity to speak. The opportunity to speak is supposed to be preserved in an Islamic society. Let's go ahead and flip it in an Islamic republic, right? Preserved in an Islamic society until they have that opportunity to express themselves. So freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the rights of speech and rights of expression in an Islamic state, in an Islamic republic, in an Islamic society is respected, and that is something that is respected, again, aspirationally in a democracy. I know we're coming towards and let's also say this. Now, if democracy, however, is the critical differences. If democracy, however, when people say of the people, by the people, for the people, or majority rule, then Al-Islam is not because that's not what decides. The majority doesn't decide. They're not the deciding factor. They're involved, but it's not whatever the people say. Because now, again, in this regard, he said, we have to seek the majority opinion from the scholars. So when you talk about majority, then you have those people who are most qualified in the matter under discussion, the scholars of the area. What is their majority opinion? That majority opinion, you understand also what stuff you already have some sense of that is, but just understanding that in principle. Because but the same thing applies if it's bankers. If you're talking to bankers, okay, well then what's the majority opinion of the bankers? This was a banking issue. What's the majority opinion of the educators? If it's with educating matters. So it's not just the majority, it's the majority among those who are qualified in the matter under consideration of SHURAH, let's say. So we can seek majority opinion from the scholars, from the learned people, and even from the general body when certain situations call for it. However, we have to understand also that sometimes the majority will take a wrong view. Then the Quran and Sunnah will have to correct the majority. So now you see who's carrying the weight in the Islamic Republic. It's the Quran and the Sunnah. It will have to correct the majority. And if the majority can't bring Quran and Sunnah to back up their position, if you don't have these sources to support you, we know the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Quran hujjatan laka aw alayk." He said, and the Quran is either a witness for you or against you. This is why the educational aspect of it, each individual being educated in the matter is critical in order for you to play your role in the defense of the Islamic Republic and in the realization of the aim of God in His plan for the human being. So if the majority can't bring the Quran and Sunnah to back up their position, they are to be non-vocal on that matter until it can be proven what is right and what was wrong. It's not just fair enough or enough just only to have a majority opinion on a matter. The majority opinion has to be supported by the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So alhamdulillah, dear brothers and sisters, pray that we've been able to make a contribution to your understanding of democracy and shura, and obviously there's always so much more to be learned. This is a universal way of life, and inshallah, let's keep reading it.
Before you leave, okay, first of all, assalamu alaikum. Before you leave, I want to just ask you to restate on the majority, because that is a misconception, and it often creates problems for us, especially, and I'm more concerned first for whatever, whether we call ourselves Republican or Democrat political position. You know, I want you to please re-emphasize the importance of educated, and that it is not the majority rule. I think that's you. Matters. The IMAM has made it clear. Since we have a collective unity, who's going to realize, who's going to sustain, who's going to maintain the direction, the ambition, the intention that Allah has for our destiny? Among those who are praying, but they really don't know how to make the prayer. And the Imam pointed out this is also one of the reasons why there's a sunnah after many of the prayers, because it also gives the individual the opportunity and places in obligation, will show us that you know how to pray really, right? So, this is so. If we have someone said, I'm not remembering, it's just some secular philosopher, but the point is that it says that civilization is a race between ignorance and catastrophe. Ignorance and catastrophe. It's like if you don't outrun ignorance, then it's going to be a catastrophe. So we just knowledge and the level at which the prophet has placed the role of knowledge. It's really, really powerful. So that's what I'll say right now. Well, thank you. Thank you, Imam FAHEEM, especially for getting up so early. We're grateful for your scholar in this community. And so when we have issues and concerns, we should call together those who are educated on those topics and leave our opinions out of it, and not lead with our power, but with education, and that's so important. Thanks, Brother Man. Some technical problems, and so I appreciate you coming through. Brother Man, if you can close us and do we'll close out. Give us Islam.